Some communities just use us for grant writing.
Okay, what about the grant money then? If somebody comes, if the county says, oh, we have some money to give you, it can just sit in the kitty for a while? Or it has to be spent within?
Most grants, you need a live opportunity, so you apply
Oh, so
based
something
on.
comes up and then you ask for the grant, I got it.
Yeah, and you will
Okay.
be scored based on how appropriate that opportunity is and how well it meets that grant opportunities criteria.
Gotcha, thank you.
What if after 5 years, there's 200,000 in there, can that money be used for anything other than open space?
Well, 25% of it can be used for maintenance of open space that you've purchased. But that's any time actually, like some portion of this can be used for maintenance.
So every year 25% or 25% of what's collected?
25% annually, but Jack, correct me if I'm wrong. It's,
25% of what's collected annually.
so, but you cannot use it for other things. So if you've accrued funds over time that you have not spent, they are dedicated to an open space purpose. They cannot be spent on other things other than maintenance.
Right, you can't build your salt shed with it, or your town.
Mr. Miller?
We have it in New Hanover Township, and it's great. I mean, I would highly recommend it. I mean, the land they've been saving and buying instead of developing houses, it's been incredible.
That's one of the townships I looked at when I started running for office. It was early 21, before we went to the polls in May. I reached out to New Hanover. Lower Frederick was in the middle of a project. That was a pretty big project. I think it took a couple of years to actually get through that process. But I met a couple of guys at PSATs at the conference, and or one of our classes, and he worked in Milford and over here, and he couldn't say enough about it, and he did the same thing. He was buying land and he was preserving land. So it's a great tool to have. It's just we're a small community,
Yeah,
so
but,
it's hard to
3
hit that
years,
bigger number that you guys would have liked to have seen.
3 years, you'll have.
And we're a
to
bedroom
upward
community, so it's difficult to do it, you know. Okay.
Can I ask Mr. Landis a question?
Yes,
You're in New Hanover?
yes.
So the open space that they have there, is that where they came up with the deer hunting areas then? Is that how they did that? I was at one of the meetings and that's, it looks like, is that what the spaces are using for hunting and all that too? It's a good program.
Yeah, it's a new program they're starting. Personally, I'm against it, but
Oh,
they have a lot of land, open space land and parks, and there's some people that think that the deer are causing all the accidents, so they want to try and get the deer herd down. So it's just a new program they're trying to start. And they're only gonna allow like 1 hunter per park.
that's permanent and all that, yeah. It seemed pretty,
Runs off a ladder. I read a bunch about that too.
To me,
the guys did a lot of work.
it's not worth it. I mean, because they're sitting like a archery, so you're only at 50 yards is the setback. Well, if deer hit with the bow is gonna run more than 50 yards. So the police are gonna be spending time people, hunters going through people's yards, because it's a park and then development, so. To me, there's certain places they could do it, but where they wanna do it's gonna be a nightmare, in my opinion,
Okay.
so. I don't-
Duly noted, here in Upper Frederick.
Yeah, it's not worth it,
Yeah.
especially what taxpayers gotta pay the money out.
Anybody else?
How long will this tax continue? It just continues forever? So then will it increase?
No, it won't. You can't increase it or stop it without having another referenda to increase it or stop it. So it's in the hands of the voters.
I can help with that. What would you like to increase or stop? Please provide more details.
AI.
Is that what that was? Okay. Anybody else? Miss Carolyn?
How do you plan to educate the residents about this referendum?
Through propaganda in the mails.
Okay,
I already
so,
talked to Mr. Walliser about, we gotta get a community newsletter out. We
yeah,
haven't done it in quite some time. I wanna, bring everybody up to speed of all the things we've accomplished up to right now, because there's a lot that we've done up till now, that it doesn't get out to everybody, because you guys only represent probably less than 1% of everybody here in Upper Frederick.
Mhm.
So Aaron and I just, was it today?
It was today.
It was just today. I said to him, we gotta do something. And him being the fiscal minded manager reminded me that it's gonna cost a couple $1,000s to send those out,
Right.
but in about 60 hours of his time. But, you know, that's why he's over here.
Caroline wants to spearhead that committee.
Is that what it is? He would probably take the brush.
She's getting that.
But,
Yeah, that's a great idea. I think that would help with what Buck brought up in the beginning of the meeting as well. Dispelling some of the rumors and issues.
yeah, I've never been through that process, contrary to what everybody thought. That had nothing to do with that, so. All right, anything else? For any other questions for these young people here? Okay, all right, so, and you don't have to sit here through it all, Mr. Jack, I mean, but you can, I don't mind.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure, I know.
I'll be in contact with you tomorrow, we do want to go forward with the referendum.
Well, if you want to go forward, you need to authorize the advertisement of the ordinance for your next meeting. Preferably the workshop, because you're very tight on your schedule in August. So I would do it at the first meeting and not wait until the regular meeting.
Absolutely.
Can we do an amendment to this?
No, right now you need to,
I was just gonna say, we can
authorize
do
it.
it right now, so what language? Bill,
No
do you
time to lose.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the
have?
Advertisement.
of the referendum to be put on the ballot.
The ordinance.
regarding- Ordinance regarding, open space and
Natural lands.
something like that.
It's just, you want to advertise
We want to cut it down.
the referendum and ordinance.
Right.
I do. Okay. Do I have a second?
That was your motion, right?
That was your motion?
Authorize the advertisement of the ordinance
We-
for open space, the referendum.
All right, does Bill have a second?
I second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Let them put you on the spot there.
Just
All right, so we got new business. Discussion and approval of purchase card program, motion needed. Mr. Wallage, you wanna, when you're done taking notes here?
All right, so one of the issues I have found, this is going back quite some time here at the township, not just recently, is the township has been utilizing a business line of credit for a purchase card here in the township, and that's been done under a small business account. So what's been happening is individual managers have been using their personal information to take out credit lines as if they're running the small business of Upper Frederick Township. I don't find that acceptable because if for any reason the township fails to pay its bills, it can have a direct effect on that individual's credit report. It is also directly tied to them in case there are any legal liabilities there. So what I'm proposing to the board tonight and asking for permission is to eliminate that program and go to a purchase card program. This purchase card program is taken out in the township's name. It's utilizing our banking that we currently have with Victory Bank, and this will be something for department heads and the township manager to control for the odd purchases that we might make for office supplies and things of that nature that go beyond our normal purchasing agreements, like we have, we have fuel cards and stuff like that already in place. This is basically the ancillary process for this. But this separates it from the individual and ties it to the township instead. This will be accompanied with a program that is written up and a bunch of policies in place already to manage this. And this will be something that is controlled, again, on a monthly basis with strict credit limits and also reviewed by the treasurer on a monthly basis. So I'm asking the board for permission to go ahead and pursue that avenue with Victory Bank to correct that issue.
Okay. Is there a set credit limit you were gonna ask for here?
So the current card has a limit of $5,000. I am looking to get a $1,000 limit for a department head, and then a $5,000 limit on the purchase card for the township manager, because the township manager may be called in emergency situations to do a little more spending than a department head might do. Anything exceeding $1,000 by a department head would need to be brought to the township manager for approval beforehand. So that is one way we'll do cost control measures for this, to limit what this card in this program is used for.
So that's just the roads department that would go to Mr. Heller and yourself?
Correct. At this point, that's what this is for, but it's set up, 20 years from now, the township grows and the administration grows, this will be able to expand under current policies to fit the operations of the township as the program continues.
Okay.
Now, that gonna like replace the Home Depot card and stuff like that, or?
So we have professional lines of credit with those particular places. Those aren't necessarily tied to an individual, but they are tied to us, and we have a credit line because those are business accounts. There was at one point in time, one of those was held privately. I've already instructed them to change that. So that is no longer an issue there. Because they do offer a direct business line of credit for those that's not tied to an individual.
I think that's the better way to go, as you laid out here. So I don't have a problem with that at all. Ms. Lisa, your thoughts on that?
No, I'm good with it.
All right. I'd like to make a motion then to, for the approval of the purchase card program as described by our township manager, with the limits being 1,000 for department heads and 5,000 for the manager. Do I have a second?
I second.
I second.
All right, you can.
Aye. No,
Okay, Lisa seconds, all those in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so be it.
Would you need a motion to terminate the current card?
No, because it was tied to the last manager.
Oh, okay.
And it was actually, there was 3 managers on these, going back that far. So it was like, when we started digging through this, I started talking to Mr. Wallace, and I'm like, this just doesn't even make sense to tie this, tie it up like this. He, in his experience, he's like, I've never done this. So he informed me how he would like to handle it. I thought this was a great idea myself, so. Ivy Ridge update?
So, at the previous meeting, Mr. Landman stated that he would follow up and ask for an investigation in some of the issues that had been going on Ivy Ridge. I had taken that forward, so I have a little bit of a report here. As he said, I was tasked with investigating the accident that occurred at Ivy Ridge. I took the steps of reaching out to our liability carrier. We actually met here in person. Unfortunately, to file a claim now, it would be outside the timeliness clause of our previous liability coverage, and so we are not able to make a claim against our liability insurance because this is now a couple of years in the past for that. So I wanted to update the board on what I found in terms of filing the liability claim there with our liability coverage. I was also asked to investigate the electric bill, and the electric bill was part of the fee consideration for residents paid in 2024. What that means is the residents of Ivy Ridge, their fees that were collected in 2024 did account for the electric charges at the plant. So they have already effectively paid for those electrical charges, even if the township did not use those funds to pay the bill on time. I also took the liberty of pulling the last couple months of recent expenses in both the revenues and expenses for the Ivy Ridge sewer plant. What I did is I looked at the last 6 treasurer's reports, so the last 6 months here, all of 2025. What I did is, because we have an abnormal electric charge, I normalized our electric charges to 2024. And I ran that against our revenues and expenses for that plant, excluding administrative costs. And currently, Ivy Ridge is running an operating deficit of $2,580 year to date. So, with both of those things being said, I am going to make 2 suggestions to the board for consideration. One is For Ivy Ridge, they're working in an operating deficit. That also means that there is no reserve fund at the Ivy Ridge plant for paying for odd repairs and unknown expenses that may come up in the future. With those two considerations, I would request that the board consider raising the Ivy Ridge sewer fee to $115 per month at the end of this year. The other thing I would ask the board to consider is to create an operating transfer of $46,000, $46,810 to allow our treasurer to correctly account for the expenses from the accident and for the electric bill against the fund, to correctly notate that those have been paid and are sufficient against the fund and do not impact Ivy Ridge. You will see that that is something I've added next to the agenda if the board is so inclined.
I think the obvious thing is we have to. We've known about this since before we got here in '24. This was an issue. When I look back through the notes on this, I can't tell anybody why we didn't go to the insurance. The emails that I dug through, one email from a super said, just fix it, we'll worry about it later. But the worry never came. We never even told Ivy Ridge. Nobody even had an idea over there that this ever happened. So when I was saying about them making their payments, they're paying essentially that bill every single month. So being strapped with a $40-some thousand bill is all because nobody picked up the phone to call the insurance company. Now you can't go back 5 months later, 4 months later, you can't go back 3 months later to try and get that claim in. You have to call and tell them this is what's going on here.
Bill, can you state the date of the actual accident?
I don't have it in front of me, but it was like August of 23.
Well, if you know the exact date of the accident, you probably know the person who was responsible for the accident.
So it's not an accident like everybody thinks.
It was God.
Huh?
It was God.
Yeah, it's basically, it's underground. The pipes run underground. These trucks back in there, pull sewage out. It's like your driveway. Eventually, your driveway needs to be replaced. This driveway here, going in and out, eventually did the damage. So you can't go back to one of these contractors and say, hey, what's your vehicle insurance? They're gonna be like, well, you should replace this drive.
But now you're going to take my money to pay for it.
Unfortunately,
Okay, so if my sewer goes, you're going to help pay for it?
what I would do is, I would have called the insurance. You would have never had this problem had I been sitting here.
Yeah, but you can't use my dollars to pay for a sewer plant. That's part of what's in the whole thing with all the sewer plants. It can't cost me money to run the plant.
Well, what I'm gonna say to you, Dave, is these people pay for insurance to be used.
But it's not my fault it wasn't turned in, and you're using my money to pay for it. And that should not be.
Okay, so where do you think that fund should come from?
The people up there should pay for it.
They already did, they paid for the insurance for it.
But they didn't collect it, that's not my problem. If the supervisor's messed up or whoever, it should not come out of my tax money.
Then they should be asked the question as to why they didn't follow protocol.
Go ahead.
It's their fault.
Do that.
But it's
I
their
don't
fault.
care.
Acknowledge that it's their fault.
Let's
Sue the people that didn't do it. It should not come out of my money. No one in this township will help me if my sewer goes.
Dave, I 100% agree with you. I do. But my job as a supervisor is to make sure that all this money is to be where it's supposed to
But it
be.
should not come out of taxpayers that do not use it. I'm sorry, I totally.
So what I'll do
I
is,
agree
we'll
with
look into other ramifications, but that money's just not gonna poof appear. Those guys are gonna come in here and say, I paid my bill, I can't help it that there was a failure at the highest level of the township.
But I can't either. If they don't have to pay it, why should I have to pay it? Exactly what you just said, they should not have to pay it, right?
That's right, so where do you?
So why should I have to pay it? I have nothing to do with that sewer plant.
Dave, I agree with you, but there's
Then
no.
don't vote for it then, vote against it. Make them pay it. It is their sewer plant.
These expenses were paid in 2023 already.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, but it's been shown as debt to them. Now you're saying it's debt to me. Why should I pay for their sewer plant? Because the township will not help me. I've spent thousands on my sewer, my in-ground system. I have spent thousands on replacing wells. You guys don't help me.
Dave, I do the same thing, I agree with you. So Ms. Vicky, is there recourse this board can take against the prior administration for failure to do that?
At this point, 2 years later, I don't know the answer to that question.
But why should I, Ms. Vicky, asking you, why should I pay for them?
Is there any allotment of this future money that's collected that's going to be used to pay back that amount to?
So because the money has already been spent, this is an operating transfer, which is just a bookkeeping accounting. This is not an actual movement of money. This is just a bookkeeping measure to say that this money has already been spent, which is accurate.
Yes, but you're not
But the
saying.
money-
It came out of the general fund.
But the money back then, from 2023 when it happened, came out of the general fund
Yeah, exactly.
to pay for it.
Yes.
The general
The prior
fund is a
supervisors used the
slush
money
fund.
from the general fund to pay for that accident.
So if Perkiomen Crossing has a failure, you guys are gonna bail them out. And if we build, if another sewer plant across the street, which will happen after the courts are done, are we gonna pay for that when it breaks down or something? Again, are you gonna take my money?
Dave,
You did it once, you're gonna do it again?
No, he didn't. The past administration did it, so stop saying it.
It's not.
No, stop saying it, because that's false.
Calm down, everybody.
I'm not saying Bill did it.
You just did.
No, I didn't. I'm saying Bill is now saying they're not gonna pay it back.
Bill's
We'll
in
put
the
blame where it's
position of,
supposed to be.
I don't care who did it. I'm not fighting, I'm not saying you did it, Bill, but you're the one that's gonna say, I've gotta pay the bill.
what I'm gonna say is, I'm gonna look into what you said, what the recourse is moving forward. We
Because
do
you-
need to fix the books and appropriate it correctly.
But now you're setting a precedent.
I'm not
If some,
saying-
yes you are, if some other sewer plant has a problem, the township will bail
The
them out
past
again.
administration set the precedent.
Wait,
Dave,
the precedent was set back when it was done.
But it was still showing as a debt to them.
Wait, can I
Right.
speak for 1 second?
Go ahead.
This has nothing to do with a sewer plant. This has to do with a major mistake that the township made.
Right. Why
Okay?
should I
Which-
pay for the mistake when they're
Because
benefiting
your
from
elected
it?
officials at the time made a mistake, the township is
I don't care who
responsible,
made the
so it comes
mistake.
out of the township funds. If you don't like it, then don't elect those people again.
But that's not what I'm saying. You're missing what I'm saying. You guys are the ones saying that it no longer is their debt. You and her, if you vote on it tonight, you are the ones that are transferring the debt from the sewer plant to the township. Whatever they did to do it, that's done. You guys are the ones that are transferring that money out of my pocket.
no.
Am I right?
Hey, can I say, is that not the same thing that everybody in Ivy Ridge would say, that it's the township's fault for not filing a claim, and why should they have to pay it? So I think there's two sides to the story here.
I don't disagree with you, but
We have
unfortunately.
to correct the situation, and unfortunately,